Hello and welcome to the Talking with the Experts online business summit. Get ready to gain invaluable insights from industry leaders, uncover innovative strategies and elevate your business to new heights. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a startup founder or a seasoned professional, this summit is designed for you. Let's unlock your full potential and drive your success. Stay tuned for an exciting lineup of experts ready to share their secrets. Let's get started. Explore how AI is transforming leadership. Thom Dennis shares insights on balancing AI-driven efficiency with human empathy in decision-making. Now, my next guest is Thom Dennis. Now, Thom has been on the Talking with the Experts podcast previously and shared with us some valuable insights. And today he's going to be discussing with us how AI is changing the landscape of leadership. We've been talking a lot about AI today, and I think it's a terrific topic because a lot of people are still quite frightened of it and they don't know what to expect. And so with all of the things that have been discussed today regarding AI, I think that, we should become a little bit more comfortable with all of that. Now, Thom.
Hi. Hi,
Hello.
Rose.
I'm very well. You are a change agent with skills and strategies and expertise as a certified facilitator accredited with CQ Centre and an NLP master practitioner. You've got 17 years experience as an officer in the Royal Marines, having worked extensively around the world. Thom brings all his experience together as CEO of Serenity in leadership, and as a speaker, facilitator, change agent, consultant, and educator. For the last 30 years, his career has been dedicated to facilitating transformation through organisational change. Thom is passionate about resolving the breadth of issues around good leadership, which is exercised responsibly with integrity and purpose, and strives to bring healing and renewal in the face of dysfunction in the workplace. And I think that's what we discussed last time, Thom, was about dysfunction in the workplace and what is a good leader.
Well, yes. I think what was defined as a good leader some years ago is not necessarily what we need as a good leader today. And that's kind of where my focus has gone. And that's really very influenced by the advent of AI.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about what, the AI changes, why it's changed the landscape of leadership.
Well, I think you have to see it in the round, really. What is happening in the world? We've had the pandemic, and that's not over. I think people would like to brush it under the carpet and say, move on, everybody back to work and all of that. But I think there's some real challenges for leaders around the different mindsets that people bring. Not only do lots of people want to continue having some sort of flexible working environment, there's a real sort of leftover of the pandemic, which is anxiety and fear, and that's a real challenge for people for leaders to manage. On top of that, you've got all the social pressures of acknowledging EDI, equity, diversity, and inclusion, and the social pushes around immigration and people movement. All of this is producing anxiety, fear, division, and people can't but help to bring some of that into the workplace. Some organizations that are now making real clear rulings about keeping politics out of the workplace. I don't know quite what it's like in Australia, but certainly, in the US and increasingly in the UK, we're getting this sort of experience. So one of the roots of that is that people don't actually feel very listened to. And to listen, you've got to give time. And again, that's a real challenge for leaders when they're essentially they're time poor. So along then comes AI, and it's an extraordinary tool. I'm in the UK, so it's early morning for me here. So I haven't, I'm afraid, been listening to all your talks through my night. But I mean, I did some extraordinary work with AI myself yesterday. It's helping me. We had a doctor's report come through, and it was complete jargon, completely impossible to understand. So I talked to Claude, who's my go-to platform, and instantly he gave me or she, since it's French, they like to call it Claude. She gave this sort of analysis and transcription of what the doctor had said into actually English that one could understand. It was incredibly helpful. So the breadth of potential applications of AI are right now. I mean, they're limited only by people's imagination. But there is the other side of this. British Telecom, which is a very large telecoms business in this country, announced a little while ago that they were going to lay off 50,000, no, 10,000. I'm sorry, people from their call centers, their customer interfacing people, because actually AI has been demonstrated to be more empathetic than a human being. Blows your mind a little bit, that one, I think.
I wouldn't have thought that at all.
So, well, the thing is that AI doesn't need to go to sleep. It doesn't have hormones. It doesn't have moods. It doesn't have any of that stuff. So it just, if it's programmed well, then it can really listen to people and give really empathetic response. And of course, they're experimenting with this with the care of patients with dementia and geriatrics, because even a small robot can show empathy, which they found that human beings will respond to. Which is a kind of, in one way, it's a kind of sad reflection of where we are in the world, where we're so busy that we don't have time for people. And so even if it's a bot or some sort of robotic system that can really be there for someone else, they respond. So there is this. So going back to the loss of the jobs, the point there is that almost no one is actually safe in their job, because organizations can make decisions to discard them and replace them with some sort of AI system. So there is a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of fear around that. And as leaders, it falls upon us to be very considerate, give great consideration to how we employ AI. I saw something the other day, and well, OpenAI, for instance, now, who are the creators of ChatGPT, have this system which is really characterized by these globes. They're about this size, and their aim is to get everybody on the planet scanned with their irises through these globes, which they are distributing around the world. I mean, this isn't some dream; it's happening. And the aim of this, believe it or not, is to have to be able to prove that you're a human, not a robot.
Mm.
And all the information is being stored on the blockchain. It's not going to be held by any government. But I mean, the ethical issues around that, I mean, you know, if you could go into that, blow your mind. So there are things about AI which we really need to be thinking about. And, you know, they say by 2040, there'll be as many humanoid robots as there are humans on the planet. One of the things that occupies my mind a lot is who can afford these, who can't afford these, and what is the divisions, what are the divisions in society that are going to be created by this? So, I mean, it's another ethical question. The advances that are now being made with AI are just mind-boggling. And the main reason for that is there's so much money in it. There are going to be an awful lot of new millionaires created because of AI, no question. They're already happening, quite apart from billionaires. And what as I say, occupies my mind a lot about this is where are the separations, where are the divisions, where are the haves and where are the have-nots. Eric Schmidt, who was the CEO of Google, I think, a while back, well, not that long ago, in fact, was ex-CEO of Google, was interviewed, and one of the questions they asked him was, well, there's going to be so much money made with this. What are the effects of that? And he said, well, the people with money will do really well, and the people without money, they're just going to have to, can't remember his exact word, they're just going to have to manage. So it's like the drive, which is all around money. And you know, even this morning, I saw that OpenAI and Google are now going into sort of a face-off, if you like, with their platforms. Whilst the creators, almost all the creators of AI, are all saying, slow down, this is going too fast. But you know, when money is the main driver, then it's almost impossible for people to slow down. And so you get the some of the I think Mo Gaudat is a very interesting person to follow. If some of your listeners haven't looked at him, he's done a podcast called Slow Mo, and I mean, he's an independent now, but was one of the sort of the major creators of AI, and his reflections on it are, I think, very sobering. So I think they'll all say now that one of the major things that they needed to do from the beginning was to control AI, was to prevent it from programming itself. You know, a little while ago, if you asked an expert, they would say, well, if you want a skill for the future, young man, learn programming, because that's what it's all going to be about. And now artificial intelligence can program quicker, more accurately than any human. So that's a speciality that's gone out the window. So the next one they're talking about now is prompting. And I'm sure some of your people have talked about this. The skill of prompting is an incredibly important one. Most of the A's now, the prompts can be up to 1 million words. So you can specify things to the nth degree, and you get extraordinary results from that. But if you ask the experts, how does it do it? They can't tell you now. They can't tell you because AI is off on its own. It's developing, it's learning, and I mean the benefits are amazing. I'm not trying to diss AI. What I'm saying is, hey, look where you're going with this, and think about the impact of it. And as leaders, we have to be finding this balance all the time. If you're the CEO of an entrepreneurial business, you're saying, right, we'll put AI here, we'll put AI there. We don't need people here. We don't need people there. It's going to be amazing. And whilst AI can show empathy, it isn't a human. It doesn't have a soul. And there's this tension that is growing now, increasingly. I mean, for all those people who used to follow Westworld, that extraordinary series on TV a couple of years ago, science is now following science fiction because there are now humanoid robots that are being built not with hinges and hydraulics or electrical things, but actually they are designing nervous systems for humanoid robots. Now, and we are at the infancy of this. The number of companies that are popping up around the world, and you think, and it's all driven by competition and again money. It's like we've climbed on a train which is hurtling down the track, and it really is time for leaders to say, is this just about making money? Or are there bigger issues that I need to consider? What are the ethical issues around AI? Ooh, I could go on. I don't know whether you want to ask me any questions.
Yeah, I think ethics, I think that a lot of people are concerned about the ethics around AI, and you're right, AI doesn't have a soul, and we all need human contact at some point. So, I don't know that companies will go fully AI. I think they still need that human component.
Well, I think you're right. And of course, the old saying that kids at school, when they're looking at jobs in the future, whatever the number is, it's about 50% now, will come out and get jobs that didn't exist when they were thinking about it. Because the job market is changing and everything else. So yeah, there are jobs, and at the same time, a lot of the experts will say, this is the world is changing, and we don't know where it's going, and you could say, well, it's always been like that, but the pace of change now is unprecedented. There has been no change. You could say at the beginning of the pandemic, CEOs were making decisions about working from home, providing equipment for people to work from home, redirecting their businesses because their markets had disappeared. So they had to do. So there were really fast decisions being made. And AI is a little different in a sense because things are changing around us, but in many ways it has a greater intensity than the pandemic, and yet there's an awful lot of people who haven't engaged with AI yet. There's an awful lot of people who are using it in the most basic of ways. And we have to look at this in a much more global sense. Global in our organization, global in terms of society, global in terms of actually the world. Because when people aren't communicated with well, and when I were on seminars and I asked a bunch of CEOs, who here is a good listener, and a good 50 or 60% will normally say, yeah, I'm a good listener, it's one of my great skills. Yeah. And yet if you go to the sort of organizations and say, is he or she a good listener? And you're joking. They don't listen at all. So we have this misperception of our abilities to listen. And yet we really do need to listen. We need to be above AI. We need to really show our humanity, and care for the people who can in some ways really benefit from AI, but are probably scared out of their wits by what's happening.
So, as an organisation, Tom, how can we adapt to all of these future advances?
Well, I think that's one of the fundamentals, I think, of leadership for the future, where still a lot of the business schools are teaching old models of leadership, which just don't fit anymore. It's sort of very structured, straight, binary type thinking. And what we need are leaders who understand themselves first. So, in the work that I'm doing with leaders now, we've got this an amazing online leadership program. It's called Leading from Within, because we've got to actually understand where our insecurities, where our values, where our drivers are coming from, so that when we're in front of the company gathering or whatever, we can actually honestly say, look, I know a bit about what's going on, but there's an awful lot that I don't know because it's going so fast. But we're going to get through this together. We're going to work together. This is not about, I'm the boss, this is what you do. That's really, that is just not a model that works anymore. So it's enrolling, it's caring, it's showing vulnerability, it's showing sensitivity, it's listening to the faint signals that are coming in all over the place. And the only way you can hear those faint signals is if you're sufficiently quiet inside. And that calls for some kind of mindful ability, mindfulness. And I'm not necessarily talking about, classic meditation. It works for a lot of people, not for everybody. But mindfulness in the sense of having a quiet inside us, which enables us, A, to hear our own inner wisdom, because actually we know the answers to these questions, but they're buried deep inside us. And all the time we're rushing around looking at things that are going on around us, we lose touch with what really knows, and that's inside. And I'll tell you what, when you go in front of your group of people and you are coming from this deep center, they will see that. they will hear that, they will witness that, and they will respond to that. Because it's like, he doesn't know where we're going either, but I tell you what, I trust him. And it is this this listening, this sense of groundedness, which creates trust. And if you look at Lencioni's model of the 5 dysfunctions of a team, it all starts with a baseline of trust. The first dysfunction of a team is a lack of trust. So we need to create that trust. And being directive doesn't create trust. Yeah, if the building's on fire, fine. Right. This is not a time to sit down and discuss what are the pros and cons of what we might do next. It's right. The house is on fire, out the door. Fine. There are those moments when direction is required. But I think that when you're dealing with anxiety, when you're dealing with a sense of psychological unsafety, then we need, as leaders, to really understand ourselves and hear both the good and the bad, if you like. So, when you get sort of a moment of panic yourself, you can say, I see that panic. Thank you for that panic. I move on. I don't go into it. I don't be that panic. That's the level of self-awareness that we need, so that then when these challenges come up and when people start coming and saying, hey, listen, there's a globe down the road and they want me to scan my eyes. What's that about? You can say, well, here's the pros and the cons. This is what I've learned. I suggest you find out your own truth around this so that you can make a good decision. That's a supportive thing, a way of doing things.
Yeah, I think leadership, you're right. Leadership has to change. The way that leaders lead needs to change. It needs to become more modern. It needs to come, into the now and not all those old-fashioned, I guess, because even before 2020, I mean, it was a set way of doing things, but the pandemic changed everything, and people have to move into the new era of leadership.
They do. They do. And it's really important.
Absolutely. Thom, it's been a pleasure. People can find you on Facebook, and you spell Thom Thom, and his surname is Dennis. You can find him on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and I've put in the chat where else you can find him on his website at serenityinleadership.com. He's got a YouTube channel. He's on Spotify. He's got a company LinkedIn page. He's on Instagram. He's got a company Facebook page, and he's also on Twitter. And all of those will be in the show notes as well. Thom, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your knowledge with us. I've really enjoyed the conversation.
Well, I hope I don't upset or scare people, but it's like we have to open our eyes to what's going on. And as leaders, we really need to pick up our responsibility. That's what I really advocate for. And I'd love to hear from anybody who has any reactions to what I've said, Rose. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Thom. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us at the Talking with the Experts Online Business Summit. I'm Rose Davidson, and it's been an honour to host this incredible event. We hope you found the insights and strategies shared by our esteemed speaker valuable. Remember, your journey to success doesn't end here. Keep applying what you've learned, stay connected with our community, and continue to push boundaries of your business. Until next time, keep thriving and striving for excellence. Goodbye, and see you at our next summit.